Thank you very much. Hello everyone, this is Rick with XYZ Modeling and Graphics. If you're new to the channel, please hit subscribe or hit that like button if you enjoy the content. So now we're continuing on with month number 13, issue number 50. Well, thumbing through the magazine here, a little bit about Poe Dameron. But here's where we want to be today. We are going to be looking at the laser generator parts and a few more pieces to complete the cannon for the upper starboard wing. We'll go ahead and open up our packaging and verify everything's present and accounted for. Also, be very careful when you open up the second portion of this package that you don't accidentally cut into the filament, like I almost did. And there's also one little clear plastic piece that goes at the tip of the gun barrel that likes to hide in that little package, so be careful. If you don't want to lose it, just keep an eye open for it. We'll begin by inserting the LED into the piece that holds it in place. And you know, this wire is pretty loose, so you don't want to put too much pressure on it from the base with your fingers, so I like to use my tweezers to grab it as close to the LED bulb as possible without putting too much tension on the wire itself, and push that through until the majority of it is poking out through the end. Next, we want to put the two halves of the generator body together and thread the wire through the middle of that. So far, no CA glue required. It's all good compression fit. And it's keyed, so there's really only one way it can go on. Next, we're going to take the middle section of this laser assembly and thread our LED wiring through that. And it has to be oriented properly, so look closely at the instructions and it'll tell you how things should be oriented. Again, this part is keyed and will fit only one way. Next, we will push the third portion of this housing together, and finally our last piece, which is also keyed and can only be inserted one way. Just push that together as firmly as you can. Now, I am not using CA glue, mainly because this will be encased in the laser cannon base, and additionally the friction fit was pretty tight, so I'm not worried about this part falling apart over time. Next, we'll take that laser generator assembly that we constructed and place it into one half of the base of the cannon. And you want to make sure that wire is sticking out in the appropriate place. Next, you want to press those parts together with the fiber optic filament in place, and it will sandwich together with this last black piece for the cannon base. Also, you want to ensure that your piping is fitting into the holes that are inside that black cannon base. Next, we'll fish our fiber optic filament through the larger of the two extruded aluminum pieces, and then finally press the other smaller extruded aluminum piece into place. In our last issue, they wanted us to have these two parts together prior to fishing the fiber through, but it's a little bit easier with it broken down in half. Our next step now is to put the two halves of the flash suppressor together. And that fiber optic piece fits right through the middle of that. Now I'm being careful here. I don't want the fiber to pull out from the base, so I'm being very ginger with my assembly here, just to ensure that that fiber optic cable or fiber optic filament stays in place. And finally, we add the suppressor to the tip of the barrel, and that fits snugly into place. No C8 glue required, thankfully. It's a very tight assembly. Next, we do our LED test, our little light test. We got to break out our little battery box that we hope will not be integrated into the set. But now you can see we've got a little bit of a red glow there, and we know she's working. The magazine suggests you do a little bit of light blocking at the base of the gun barrel, which I do recommend if you do not intend to paint the outside of the ship. And that wraps up issue number 50.